This is Shelley Craft. We're coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Cambridge House International Conference 2012 here in lovely Vancouver. I have Alar Soever of Wallbridge Mining Company, symbol WM on the TSX. Welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you, Shelley. Thanks for having me. It looks like the convention is going to be busy again this year.
Let's hope so. Now, tell me about Wallbridge.
Well, Wallbridge is a long-established exploration company in Sudbury, Ontario. Sudbury, as most people know, is one of the world's great nickel mining camps. But what a lot of people don't know is that there's also a lot of copper and PGEs to be found in Sudbury. And that's what people have been looking for lately. So it's very exciting. We've been there now. We went public in 2000, so for about 12 years. During the course of that time, we've also spun out some of our non-core Sudbury assets into two other companies. One is Duluth Metals, DM, on the Toronto Stock Exchange, which we own 10 million shares of. And with today's market and the share prices, actually the value of that 10 million shares makes up almost our entire market cap. So it's nothing to be proud of, but that's the fact, is that we have real assets which justify the value, and the exploration assets at this point aren't getting any value at all. So, but that being said, we have some very exciting things happening in Sudbury.
Let me stop you for a second. Now, you have a specialty in copper that your new property has. Is that correct?
It's PGEs and copper, Shelley.
Okay,
yes.
Good. So, to what extent, how deep is the vein? I mean, in this particular case, what's the size of the resource?
Okay, the size of our Broken Hammer Zone, which is located in Sudbury, is about 250,000 tons, about 1% copper, and almost 4 grams of PGEs. So it's we just last year took a 30,000 ton bulk sample out of that, and that bulk sample generated $3 million of net revenue for us, which we're still receiving due to the delay in getting payments from the smelter. So it's kind of handy money to have given the state of the markets today.
Yeah, it does. You could do that again soon, I bet.
Well, right now we're working on the pre-feasibility study, and it's going well. We hope to have a production decision by the fall and be in production sometime next year, after getting through the permitting and everything.
What is your background?
I'm a geologist. I started off in junior exploration companies through the late 70s, early 80s. Then I went and worked with Watts, Griffiths & McHugh at an international consulting firm. I worked all over the world. And then in 2003, one of my clients, Wallbridge Mining, actually wanted me to come and be president. So I thought, that's a pretty good place to start. So I joined them.
You ended up back home.
Yeah, I ended up back home. That was one of the reasons. Worked out really well for me, being in Sudbury half the time and Toronto half the time. So
that's not a bad commute, so to speak.
No, it's pretty nice, except in the winter. A little hairy on the Georgian side of Georgian Bay, but it does very well. So
where do you guys go from here? I know things are a little hard in the exploration side of things, raising money, etc. So how do you see the future rolling out soon?
Well, we can't predict the future, but, we've set up Wallbridge with a number of joint ventures. We have joint ventures with Impala Platinum, the world's second largest platinum producer, and also with Lonmin, the world's third largest platinum producer. And they provide about $2.5 million worth of exploration funds for Sudbury every year. So in times like this, we can reduce the spend on our properties, focus on the joint venture properties, and still keep the exploration going at a very good pace. Duluth, of course, is going through a very large feasibility study with their joint venture partner Antofagasta, who's putting $130 million into them. So they don't really need a source of funding at this point either. So I think as a company, we're pretty well set up to weather these economic downturns that happen from time to time. Of course, it doesn't make us happy about our share price, but in terms of affecting the operations, certainly there's some effect, but not as severe as you might see with a lot of other junior companies.
Yeah, I have news for you. You set an example for some of these other companies, and I think they should more or less look more towards your model than some of the other models that I've been heard around here, chasing low-price stock and trying to find investors. Am I correct?
Yes. Well, I think that's one of the things with junior mining, and is what has made people so cautious about it. A lot of people, will start a company on one property, inflate the share price, raise a lot of money, blow their brains out, and then come back to the market reinvented the next year. Well, Wallbridge has been around since 2000. We've never reinvented ourselves. No .com, no Molly, no gold, no nothing. We were always copper, nickel, PGs, and Sudbury. We've stuck to our knitting. We've found ways to finance that through joint ventures. And, I think we're just on the cusp on Broken Hammer of putting our first deposit into production. And we also like the prospects of Duluth, which we own 10 million shares of. They've got one of the largest copper nickel PG deposits in the world that they're developing with Antofagasta, one of the world's great copper miners. And, we expect to see appreciation in that part of our portfolio as well.
Now, tell our investors what website they can go to find out more about what's going on in your companies.
Okay, you just go on the internet, and it's www.wallbridgemining.com.
That's Wallbridge, W-A-L-L, Bridge, B-R-I-D-G-E.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Alar Soever of Wallbridge Mining Company, WM on the TSX, and we are at the Cambridge House International Conference 2012 in Vancouver. Alar, thanks for coming on to SNN Live. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.